Thanks for joining us on the program. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. We have so much to talk about on the program today, but let's begin with a review of major news and headlines on the continent over the weekend.
Goma residents in the Democratic Republic of Congo have raised concern over the effectiveness of the United States brokered peace agreement and other mediation efforts aimed at ending the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, saying the truce have failed to stop the violence. In November 2025, the DRC government and the Congo River Alliance M23 movement signed the Doha Framework for Peace, establishing a roadmap for dialogue that complements the earlier U.S. brokered agreement between the DRC and Rwanda. Despite the initiatives, clashes have continued in Eastern DRC. Kinshasa accuses Rwanda of backing the M23 rebel movement, an allegation Kigali denies.
As Africa.
Still on Saturday, the third edition of the 100 Most Notable Africans Summit brought award winners, diplomats and business voices together in Marrakesh, with speakers setting out ambitious hopes for the continent's future.
Africa is not the future. Africa is now. And Morocco is one of the amazing destinations in Africa that connects the Africa to the world. And today we are gathered here to talk about investment opportunity and how we can shape the future of Africa.
I am feeling so great, so happy. It is not easy to be honored, and not just even in Nigeria. I am honored here in Morocco, have to come all the way here, and then I'm being honored with a great award of the most amazing 100 people, and I'm part of them.
The collaborations that could make a difference, you know, especially with the youth and for women as well. If you don't want to go out and work, what can you do at home? How could you make a difference from where you are? So I think, yes, definitely, a lot of productive meetings and conversations will be done, and I think it will bring a lot of light to Nigerians and to further make the bond more beautiful between Nigeria and Morocco.
This year's summit is being held at the Movenpick Hotel from June the 26th to 29th, after 2 consecutive editions in Kigali, Rwanda. Elsewhere on the continent, growing number of Zimbabwean nationals have left Johannesburg amid fears over anti-immigration protests planned for Tuesday, with many returning home or seeking assistance from Zimbabwe's consulate.
Yeah, I'm also going. I'm also going because we can't stay here anymore. We can't stay in here. So I'm also going.
Why you can't stay here?
You never know what it will be like because of the violence, you know, how the march goes. So to be safe, I must leave to be safe. I have the passports, everything, but for the sake of my safety, I have to leave the country.
That's a good way. Person must have paper. You must have your ID or your passport. It's the right way. Mara, we have economic crisis in Africa. That even you know that my brother in Namibia is fine, but my brother in Malawi is not fine. He's your brother. So where do you want him to go? You want him to fly aeroplane to America, while South Africa is here. South Africa is the motherboard of Africa. And you can't stop people to come to South Africa. Because South Africa, before it gets independence, it gets that freedom from other people outside the country.
The South African government has stressed there is no official deadline for foreign nationals to leave the country and urged people not to take the law into their own hands. The departures come ahead of a nationwide anti-immigration demonstrations planned for June the 30th.
An update on the immigration crisis in South Africa. The federal government is resuming the evacuation of Nigerians from that country. The next batch is expected to arrive on an Air Peace flight, which left the plane left Nigeria this afternoon. A statement issued by the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Kimebi Ebienfa, says the return flight is set to depart South Africa at about midnight, with 271 evacuees to arrive at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos early Tuesday morning. The latest evacuation comes ahead of the anti-immigration demonstration slated for South Africa tomorrow. Still on the immigration issues, Uganda is preparing to evacuate hundreds of its citizens from South Africa as fears grow over escalating anti-immigrant violence and xenophobic protests. Acting Foreign Affairs Minister Haruna Kasolo Kyuyune says President Yoweri Museveni has ordered immediate plans to assist Ugandans who wish to return home. Authorities say special charter flights could begin within days, with 746 Ugandan nationals already registered for evacuation. The government also confirmed that the body of a Ugandan citizen killed in an attack in KwaZulu-Natal will be repatriated. South Africa remains on high alert ahead of the June 30 anti-immigration protests as groups call for undocumented migrants to leave the country, prompting several African nations to prepare emergency evacuation plans.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, working in coordination with the Ugandan community in South Africa, is finalizing an evacuation plan that is expected to commence in the next few days. 746 Ugandan nationals in South Africa have voluntarily registered and sought assistance for evacuation due to security and safety concerns, and more are expected to register.
Meanwhile, some Malawian nationals have gathered outside the Malawi consulate in Sandton, hoping to receive assistance and be transported back to their home country. Many say they've been left stranded and are waiting for transport arrangements, while others say they are taking a proactive decision to leave South Africa ahead of June 30.
Stranded Malawian nationals remain at the consulate in Johannesburg, still waiting for assistance. Some say they have not been informed when buses will arrive to transport them back home.
Yeah, as of now, we are not given any information to say when are we going to be helped. But only those people who are well wishers, they just come to us, then intervene, then tell us what to do, and then you see now they give us food now to eat.
Yeah, that is xenophobia he's affecting for us because we don't have any option. We want to stay here. So we don't have any option to work here because those people, we need those government, we don't have paper here. So everybody here is all from Malawi. We don't have a paper. That's why we just 15 hours outside of we go back to Malawi.
Paskani Msiska is the national coordinator of Malawi Diaspora Humanitarian Support Initiative.
Yeah, I'll speak on behalf of our initiative. Because there's so many other role players and stakeholders who are trying to assist in the situation. With us as Malawi Diaspora Humanitarian Initiative, we are putting 2 buses tomorrow.
Faith-based organizations are also playing a key role in the humanitarian response. We spoke to Noni Lunga from Metro Mission Church, who preferred not to show her face on camera.
I came, we wanted to assist people who are in need, seeing children, parents, people sitting outside in this cold, in this weather, can break anyone's heart. There's a baby here who's 3 weeks old, outside in these conditions. Mom is breastfeeding. That's a very difficult situation for the mom to be in. So we just wanted to, as our faith, God wants us to show goodwill to others who are in need, not necessarily because of where they're from, not necessarily because of politics and what politics are involved in.
Well, the situation here at the Malawi consulate in Johannesburg remains relatively calm. As you can see behind me, the Malawi nationals await transport home with a lot of uncertainty. I can tell you now that thus far, there is no protest or no sign of protest. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Simmons, Channels Television News.
Well, Innocent has also been following the build-up to tomorrow's anti-immigration protest. Members of South Africa's anti-illegal migration movement gathered in Soweto for the Abahambi March. Organizers say the demonstration is aimed at fighting crime and corruption, which they argue are linked to illegal immigration. However, the march has been criticized by some civil society groups and community organizations who warn that it could fuel xenophobia, tribalism, and further divide communities. Innocent is back with this report.
While the hashtag Babahambe march is framed by organizers as a response to crime and corruption, linking these complex issues primarily to illegal migration risks, oversimplifying the root causes. Crime in South Africa is driven by multiple structural factors, including unemployment, weak policing, corruption within institutions, and socio-economic inequality, not nationality alone. I asked some of the leaders why they're not protesting to the government.
This is an indication that this government has failed, and Ramaphosa should be ashamed of himself. This is a motion of no confidence against the government of the day. For the fact that people now, they are saying enough is enough. People are protesting. People are saying these people must leave. It means that they don't have confidence in the government of the day. So what we are, asking Ramaphosa to do, stop investing 600 million policing South Africans.
Meanwhile, some critics have warned that the march could fuel xenophobia and unfairly target innocent migrants. I also had the opportunity to speak to some of the elderly participants who took part in the demonstration to understand why they choose to join the march.
The government is failing us as a citizen. They're taking their own time to fix the problem. Now people are sick and tired of this government. They want to fix things on their own. So let the government give us time to fix this country.
Yes, Papa, I'll say the government has failed us. If you can see this crowd, it's a sign that South Africans are not working. That's why I'm here today.
Yeah, but would you say that it's because of illegal foreigners that South Africans?
Yes, it is, because if we are coming from Zimbabwe, we are paid 20 rands. When you go to Zimbabwe, it's hundreds and thousands. Here in South Africa, 20 rands is 20 rands. It will never change. Even the petrol, our fuel is so up. So we can't buy bread. So that's why we are here. We are supporting March and March.
We're still following the March and March protest here, anti-illegal migrant protest. Of course, they've moved towards that side, going towards the west of Soweto. In fact, I have this beaded Kenyan Maasai bracelet on my wrist, and one of the demonstrators walk up to me and say to me, "When are you going back?" And I was a little bit confused, for a lack of a better term, because I was like, I'm a South African, what are you talking about? So this just goes to show how deep this issue is, and the fact that some people do not understand the issues at hand. They do not know that if you have papers, you're actually allowed to be in the country, but some of them are saying that papers or without papers, you got to go.
Well, Innocent has, of course, been following up on that story, as you saw in that robust reportage she's brought us from the Malawi consulate, of course, to the build-up to the March on March event ahead of tomorrow. Well, he joins us now because he does have a lot to say, much more than those reports that you've seen there. Innocent, great to see you today.
Greetings to you, Joke, and our viewers at home. It's good to see you.
Right, so we have seen foreign nationals express their desires to leave South Africa and return to their homes. But some have businesses and work here, even family, that they might unfortunately and sadly have to leave behind. Basically a life. What will be next for these people?
Well, Joke, the short answer is nobody knows what's going to happen, but we understand that at least the people that I spoke to, they managed to sell some of their businesses. They managed to sell in a short space of time. I would imagine that the markup also, they could not really get the revenue that is required, because now it's rush. They have to then sell the businesses, they have to sell the equipment so they can just get out of the country. I think what is important for some of the people that I spoke to is their safety rather than what's going to happen
to what they're leaving behind. So it's really safety. In fact, for the better part of the day, I've been talking to my Nigerian friends, at least the ones that I attend church with, to tell them to not open their businesses tomorrow, and just to ask them to really stay safe, because it's not nice when people lose their businesses just overnight, because it takes time to build a business, Joke. But I can tell you now that majority of the ones that decided to sell their businesses and their belongings and equipment, they decided this simply because they don't care about the material stuff. They now want their safety, Joke.
Right, and we saw in one of your reports there, the one before you came on, that some of the people were berating the South African government, saying it has failed. And while they also say that they're not marching to the government for this, they're just, using this march as a personal call to try and change the immigration patterns in South Africa. Do you think this protest is going to lead to changes in the immigration movement, and for the remaining migrants, what are they expected to see?
Okay, it's difficult to tell, because we've been here before as a country. In fact, the one that we had, I think it's 2007, a lot of people died. And what we've been seeing from government over the years is that they react to this. They are reactionaries. They don't really act to deal with the root cause of the situation on the ground. In fact, in that reportage, I also mentioned that you can't pin crime and corruption to illegal migrants alone. There are a lot of elements that are attached to crime in the country. For an example, the people that I spoke to, they are saying that the problem is that there is no employment. And when there's no employment, it means that the economy, it has not been going, in part. So they blame the government for failing to grow the economy. So the resources are scarce. Now people are fighting for those little resources. Now here it's more like a fight, Joke, a fight of resources, where people are competing for little resources. Now they misdirect their anger to foreign nationals. But again, going back to your question, Joke, it's difficult to tell whether or not this one will make the government to put their systems in order, to put their ducks in a row, because the problem here, I guess, it's because they want the government to listen. The government has not been listening. The economy has not been growing. People are just unemployed. And you go to Soweto, where I was at this afternoon, it's Monday afternoon. You see people loitering around, drinking alcohol. You ask yourself, what kind of society are we building? So, meaning that there is a loophole. There is a need for government to really build these strong institutions that will be able to really employ people and make a conducive environment for private sector to employ more people in the country, Joke.
Right, and if you can, could you give us an update on, I do know that Nigeria is resuming the evacuation of its nationals. A flight left Lagos this afternoon for Johannesburg, expected to leave midnight South African time to come back to Nigeria in the early hours of Tuesday, I believe just before that March on March really gets underway. Do you have any updates for us on when that flight will really leave South Africa and the people expected to depart?
Well, the ambassador said they're leaving tomorrow, but he said to me he's going to call me this evening to confirm the exact times, because he was busy in a meeting. He was working on a lot of things, as you would imagine. He said, Innocent, I'll update you as soon as I've got the information. But we do know, as you rightly indicated in your intro, there is a flight coming from Nigeria to Johannesburg. He confirmed, rather, the ambassador, acting ambassador, that is Alexandra Timitope Ajayi, to say that there are people at the embassy who are going to be taken to the airport to to be repatriated to Nigeria. But as soon as we have those details, we'll be able to share with our viewers. He said that he was pretty much busy for the better part of the day, Joke.
Right, and another update I want you to give us is a report of a Nigerian killed in Mpumalanga. What are the enforcement agencies doing about this? Are there any leads, arrests, and what does this say about safety of non-South Africans living in the country?
Joke, I've not had a statement from the police, and I asked the ambassador also. He said that he has got no knowledge about the death of a Nigerian national in Mpumalanga. But as soon as I think it's important also, Jockey, because this is a moving story, and there are a lot of developments. We need to fact check and make sure that whatever we put online, whatever we give our viewers, it's authentic and it's well checked, and there are all of these elements. So at this point in time, I've not had any statement from the police about the death of a Nigerian national in Mpumalanga, and also the ambassador doesn't know much about that. But we have our ears on the ground. As the story develops, or if indeed is true, we'll be able to then share with our viewers as to what is really happening, whether there are investigations, and what could have led to the death of, allegedly, this death that you're talking about, Joke.
Right, Innocent, thanks again for your time. We will be checking on with you from time to time to give us updates on all these developing stories in South Africa. Thanks again.
Thank you, Joke.
Away from South Africa's immigration issues, one of the nation's most senior police officers has survived an apparent assassination attempt just days before he was due to testify at a high-profile public inquiry into alleged criminality within the police force. Suspended Deputy Crime Intelligence Boss Major General Feroz Khan was shot while driving home in Johannesburg on Sunday and underwent emergency surgery. Police say it's too early to link the attack to General Khan's planned appearance before the Badlanga Commission, which is investigating claims that organized crime has infiltrated South Africa's security services. Mr. Khan was arrested in May over alleged illegal gold dealing, but was released on bail. The shooting is now under active police investigation. Well, moving away from South Africa's fears are growing over the deadliest Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo after health officials revealed that nearly 300 infected patients have gone missing. The Africa Centers for Disease Control says the whereabouts of 300 people who tested positive for the virus are unknown, raising alarms over uncontrolled transmission. The DRC has recorded more than 1,000 cases and at least 291 deaths since the outbreak began in May. While the virus has spread to Uganda and reached France through a returning doctor, the World Health Organization warns cases could surpass 8,000 by mid-September, with the risk of spread into South Sudan continuing to grow. Of course, we cannot go without telling you more from the FIFA World Cup. Celebrations erupted across Goma as the Democratic Republic of Congo reached the World Cup knockout stage for the first time in the country's history. Thousands of supporters flooded the streets, waving Congolese flags, singing, dancing, and hailing the Leopards' historic achievement as a rare moment of unity and hope amid the country's ongoing conflict. The DRC secured its place in the round of 32 with an impressive 3-1 victory over Uzbekistan, finishing third in Group K behind Colombia and Portugal. The Leopards now face a major test against England this Wednesday, with fans believing their fairy tale World Cup journey is far from over. And a fun fact about the continent, did you know that Kenya holds some of the oldest human fossils ever discovered by paleontologists? Humanity's earliest ancestors lived in the Ologasili region between 1.2 million and 500,000 years ago in modern-day Kenya. The oldest known human fossil, the Turkana boy, was found near Lake Turkana in Kenya. Is estimated to be roughly 1.5 million years old. And that's our program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Joka Rogers.